Hi, this is Marcia, and today we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence in the classroom setting. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. This is a 4-part series talking about artificial intelligence in the classroom setting. All of these resources can be found inside of our website and on dynaguide.org. That information is down below. Today, we're going to be talking about how to utilize small group instruction to authenticate the learning. We're going to be talking about how to use AI to support the learning using differentiated instruction from a teacher's point of view. Then we're going to talk about some AI tools that students could be using to personalize their learning. And I rounded it out with some apps, some phone apps that are going to be using AI to help you continue to learn even while you're mobile. All right, you guys ready? Let's begin. Like I said, thank you guys for being here. Again, this is a 4-part series, and now I'm talking about the first part is going to be talking about small group instruction and the power of authenticating the learning. With all of these tools that are out there, it doesn't mean we want to shut down technology or block different websites. Of course, you would need to follow the guidelines of your district, but at the same time, it's knowing what's out there. What is available for teachers, what's available for students, and knowing the difference. So we really want to authenticate learning by starting with small group instruction. The power of small group instruction is really going to hone in on making sure we can see the learning happening through quick formative assessments. And yes, I love to do formative assessments right there in my small group because I can see the students working. I can make sure I can see their thought process. Maybe it's an open-ended question. It doesn't always have to be paper. It can also be online. And we're going to dive into all of these parts, so hang tight. Open-ended questions. We're going to talk about the power of open-ended questions during small group. So the way the students have the ability to have good discourse and talk through some of those elements of the learning process. We are going to also talk about the power of check-ins, checking in on the learning. I like to call this fishbowl learning, but it's also visual thinking or kind of combo in that same topic, and I'll explain more. Now we're going to go into that visual thinking process. What can we do to actually make sure that the students are learning that content while they're working independently or away from the teacher? So we're going to create some visual thinking portfolios. And then finally, we're going to talk about how the power of small group really does help push differentiated instruction. All right. Now we know what our game plan is. Let's begin with the power of small group. For the last 15 years, I have been a big advocate of small group instruction. That is where I could build those academic relationships. I could differentiate the instruction. I could even start to personalize it. But most importantly, I get to see the thinking process. I can make sure that when those students are sitting in front of me, they are learning the content. I love the photo that I have here. This is from Rowe Middle School from Cy-Fair ISD, and this 6th grade English language arts teacher is conducting a small group. Look at the power that she has. She has the ability to keep that eye contact with the students. The students are being able to discuss and talk through the content, all right there in that small group instruction. What are the rest of the students doing? Well, they're doing digital content to extend the learning objective. They are doing some hands-on activities and then also some independent practice. So small group instruction has got to be the foundation to make sure that we can authenticate the learning when the students come into the classroom environment. All right, formative assessments. I love formative assessments. That helps me to drive my small group and even whole group instruction days. So when the students come back to a small group, I'm going to do a quick check-in. I'm going to ask them questions, maybe again, it's just open-ended questions. It could be online, it could be offline. And I'm really going to start to differentiate those formative assessments. And there are AI tools that we're going to talk about in part 2 that can help you with that differentiation of formative assessments. But what I really like is that quick check for understanding. I'm right there with the students. They're going to tell me what they know. And that's what the power is behind all this. All right, next, open-ended questions. And I put a link right there on your screen for you. NewParlayIdeas.com is an AI tool that will help you with these open-ended questions. And what I like about these open-ended questions is when I'm pulling back a small group, I will have 3 or 4 questions that are tied to my standard that I can ask that group of students. And why do I need 3 or 4? Because when I'm in a small group, it's amazing how many ears are still paying attention to me. So when the next group comes up, I can give them a different question. I can differentiate my questions. I can quickly check for understanding. And of course, the quality of discourse that happens when we allow the students to talk through the learning process. All right, student check-ins. One of the things I like about student check-ins is I'm going to, in the moment, see where those students are. Meaning I'm going to look at their checklist. What have they accomplished? I'm going to go through and look at the revision history right there in front of them. If they're writing a paper or they're doing like a portfolio, I'm going to go right into Google. I'm going to go to the revision history and I'm going to pull it up. Because if they are using AI tools out in the other elements, I'm going to be able to notice that right away through the revision history. And if you don't know the revision history that I'm talking about, go do a quick Google search in YouTube to find out how to use revision history inside of Google products. If you don't use Google products, it still works with Microsoft and Apple. So you will be able to see that revision history. I also like these check-ins because they're able to communicate the learning. What you're seeing in this 4th grade classroom from Santa Monica, Malibu, USD, is she is working with the students and the student has to talk to the teacher about what they're working on, one-on-one. And I think that's the power behind this. And last but not least, that visual thinking process. When I'm doing these student check-ins, I'm actually seeing their learning progress. I'm seeing where they are. I'm seeing them move forward. And again, I'm going to be pulling up the online data piece to show the students, like, here's where you are and look how far you're growing. Keep up that work. All of this is also combined with the fact that I'm building these academic relationships with the students in that small group. All right, now to visual thinking, or what I like to call fishbowl learning. And what that means is that I'm going to show the process of learning over time. So I'm going to show like my independent practice. Where did I make mistakes? I'm going to showcase when I'm creating a project. How did I design or how did I get there using mind maps? I'm going to be using rubrics, multiple rubrics, meaning when they come back for a check-in, I'm going to have that rubric right there and I'm going to be like, oh, here's where you are right now. How can we continue to grow? And I'm going to do video daily recaps. Every learning management system that I am currently working with my school districts, all have the power of quick video recording or voice recording. So when the students are working and as an exit ticket before they leave that day, they can quickly record what they have accomplished, where they are, what roadblocks they might have. And that way we can, again, make sure the students are working through that learning process. Visual thinking, or the fishbowl method, is just a really good way to make sure that we are authenticating that learning process. All right, last but not least, my absolute favorite. I love differentiated instruction. Why? Because I can take my high flyers even higher. I can bring my struggling students to that next level. I set my bar here and I keep growing my students in that small group environment. By using the data from the online programs, by using the data from my formative assessments, I am able to differentiate that content for those students. What really ends up happening is I'm personalizing the learning for the students. Yes, we are not going to be able to avoid all of the AI tools, but if we differentiate, if we build those relationships with the students, if we are always looking at their thinking process, then we are going to enhance what they might be using with those AI tools to really hone in on that personalized learning environment. Authenticating the learning just doesn't start with, hey, I'm going to check to see if you copied and pasted, where it starts with that small group instruction. Make that as your pillar. Try that small group instruction to really move forward with this new way of learning.